Albert Einstein said, "If I had 1 hour to save the world, I'd spend 55 minutes defining the problem." I think we can all agree he was a pretty smart guy, so it's a good idea to take his advice. Defining the problem means asking the right questions. We have less and less time available for face-to-face learning interactions, so many learning departments are being asked to rethink their learning strategies. Before we look at this challenge, let's quote Al again. "We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them." If we're looking to rewire our learning, to get new ways to support our populations, we need to ask the right questions. Questions rooted in the old way of behaving will not yield new ways to approach learning. Let's look at how these new questions will alter our approach. First up, "How can I embed?" has been replaced by "How useful is the content?" Forget about the brand of the learning provider. Let the user population validate the utility of the materials. Wikipedia and eBay both operate on a trust dynamic, so it's bye-bye Harvard. Instead, here's an idea. Focus on making the content as useful for your population as possible. Business learning needs to drive the business. If it doesn't, ditch it. Next, rather than asking, "How can I publish the material?" instead think, "How can I socialize the material?" Learning content for the 21st century needs to be pull rather than push-based. It needs to be available on demand, as and when it's needed, and then easy to identify and access. With new channels and devices coming on stream, such as social media and mobile, the natural question is, how can I blend the learning, right? Wrong. Instead ask, how can I enable the user? The issue with blended learning is that although it may feel new, it's actually part of the old push model. Instead, we have to enable users by providing easy and elegant access to a variety of learning objects, as well as the ability to share and rate the materials. Finally, it's no longer a question of how can I track. The sweet spot now is, how can I tag? This change of approach shifts the focus from tracking usage and certifying that a module has been completed to making people perform better. The evolution of SCORM and the Tin Can API is in part a reflection of this evolving need. This isn't to say tracking is unnecessary, it's just more important that users associate the material with events and initiatives. Framing the questions in this way also changes the role of the L&D function. You move from being a knowledge broker, intermediating between blocks of knowledge, skills, and your population, to being a Sherpa, a guide to help learners take responsibility for their own development.